We're waiting for one more person. So I'm gonna just give it one more minute. How are you feeling today? Are you kind of
Well, my knees are almost kind of,
creaky?
yeah.
That's good. That's good.
But, other than that, I'm okay today.
Do you have tight quads, do you know?
I don't think so. My hip flexors are pretty tight though. That's always been an issue for me.
Sometimes with the knee stuff, it's coming from like the leg bones connected to the
Yeah.
knee bones connected to the hip bone, like it could be somewhere else that showing up there. Sometimes opening up this helps that. Hi, Carol. Hello. How are you? Good. How are you? I'm doing good.
I don't want to sit on top of you, but I don't like sitting in the sun.
I don't have any issues with space. I'm good.
Like a very big room and I'm gonna sit up right next to
Wow.
I know there is that, like, some people are like that about, I've seen it in class before where there's a lot of space. People are like, I'm just gonna go right here, right next to you. For no reason.
taking requests when I want.
I was, do you have some requests?
No, I'm old and cranky everywhere. So.
Here it is.
Did you request hips, shoulders?
Well, we're talking about knees, and I was saying how
Oh.
sometimes knee stuff can be from, like, if you have really tight quads, I have pretty tight quads and I get some knee things. I have a lot of Capricorn in my chart too, so I just have knee stuff. But if this is tight, it's pulling on this, and then it's like everything. I have an ankle thing here and it affects my hip with my sacrum. It's like everything's connected, you know, so sometimes when we have an ache or a pain or an issue in one part of the body, we hyper focus on that because that's what hurts, right? But that might not be the source. Like my husband just did something to his complaining about his wrist the other day. He plays a lot of softball and he was blaming it on picking up our daughter, who is heavy now. But so he's like, help me with my wrist, you know, and it was all up in here. That's really where the tension was up in his forearms, but it's manifesting in the wrist. So I always kind of look towards like what's below it, what's above it, and can we kind of work that too to see if it could alleviate some of the tightness, the issue somewhere else. Okay, so we'll get started. I'll try to make my intro a little quick since we're a couple minutes late. So I was talking to my mom on the way here because I'm getting ready to go to the beach next weekend with my two daughters to go visit my brother's house down there. And we're only going for 2 days, but I'm already thinking about the full carload of stuff that I will need to travel with my children for that length of time. I was talking to my mom, I was saying how I've learned about myself as I get older that I am so much happier when I have some kind of system or organization that makes my life easier to fall back on. And how that when I have something and it's a system, it flows better. I know what I'm doing. It just makes sense and I have less anxiety and less stress and more enjoyment. And so I'm always like looking for different organizational systems and just bought this like bag that I could organize all this beach stuff in. And I was thinking about that today in relation to yoga, how really they sound like they might not be the same thing, but they really are, because yoga is a tried and true system. And there is a reason that we keep showing up over and over again on our mat to do the same poses, right? There's only so many yoga poses. My yoga teacher that I did my first teacher training with Karen Eisen, always say, like, there's only 17 yoga poses, but you just do them in different relation to space. So you do them laying down, you do them standing up, you do them on your head, you do them on your side, right? But they're the same shapes, we just do them different ways. And whether you're aware of it or not, as a yoga student, teachers take you through a series of different types of poses in a particular order because it's a system that works. And even if you don't know anything about yoga, you will know whether or not that system's kind of adhered to in your body. Like if you've ever taken a yoga class where it just didn't feel right to do this thing after this, you're like, oh, I really could have used this other stretch first. It's because there's a way that the body responds to this kind of organizational theme of systems. So we'll work through that a little bit today. So let's take a nice comfortable seat. Close your eyes. Take a moment to simply welcome yourself to your practice today. Honoring this choice that each one of us has made to return to our mat again. And maybe we take a moment to contemplate why that is. What is it that we gain from working this system? What is it that we gain from this practice of breath and postures and focused attention? What are the benefits? Maybe it's that you feel better physically, or maybe it's that you're a little nicer. Maybe there's a reduction in stress and more calm. By drawing our attention to these benefits of our practice, we can begin our time on the mat with the essence of reverence, of gratitude for our yoga practice, and honoring ourselves in advance for showing up to do this work, because it's one thing for a system to exist, and it's entirely another thing for us to utilize it, to put it into practice, to keep at it, keep it running, and participate in that. Shift your focus now to your physical body and feel your sitting bones on the ground. See if you could come more towards the fronts of your sitting bones, finding a little more of an anterior tilt in your pelvis so that your pelvic bowl could be upright. If it were to hold water, you could imagine that that water would spill out. And then once you have that, can you root down into your seat, letting your foundation, which is the parts of yourself that are connected to the ground, letting those parts get heavy, feeling that they are connected to your mat, to the earth beneath you. So this is a system. It's root to rise, we sometimes say. It's to first focus on the foundation and to build the pose from the ground up. So the next part of the system is to move up the body. You can lengthen up the spine, lengthen your side bodies, take a deep breath in, and as you do, float the heads of your arm bones up, back, and down. Create more space in the container that is your body. And see, is there some balance? Something a little wacky? Is one side of the body a little shorter than the other? Can we kind of straighten ourselves out as much as we can? And then bring the very center of your head right over your tailbone. Sometimes it may help to bring a finger to the center of your head. Find that alignment, taking the back body backwards into space a little bit more. And once we've built this structure of the pose, the next part of the system is to relax, to soften into it, to release our need for control and that rigidity of holding tension in the body. So could you release your tongue away from the roof of your mouth and let it get heavy and wide on the lower palate? Could you widen the corners of your eyes and allow your eyeballs to descend back into their sockets? And maybe you notice what happens when you bring your awareness back and down, dropping back into yourself. And the essential ingredient to our system of yoga is always the breath. What could you do here to allow your breath to be more full, to flow more freely? Perhaps it's just to be aware of this expansion and contraction with each life-affirming breath that we take. And then please bring your hands together in front of your heart. I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. Maybe it's just to honor the systems that you've built in your life that are working for you, that you continue to work, like this practice right here together. Or maybe an intention could be to institute or implement a new system in an area that's not working as well as we'd like. Maybe you want to buy a new beach bag and organize it. And then from here, we'll seal in our intentions with 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. 2 more like that. Gently bow your head to your heart. Slowly open your eyes, release your hands, and let's start out on our backs. So you can move your props off to the side. Lay down. And take a full body stretch here. Reach your arms overhead. Lengthen out through your toes. And then stretch a little more through your left side body. Reach your left fingertips and left toes further away from each other. See how that feels. And then do the same thing on the right side, as if somebody were pulling you, pulling on your foot, pulling on your wrist. And notice how that feels. Just becoming aware of any misalignments in the body that you become more acutely aware of when you're on your back. Then take another deep breath in. As you exhale, hug your right knee into your chest. So here you'll want to see that the knee tracks towards your right shoulder, kind of right in line with your collarbone, more so than towards your armpit. Take a few breaths here. And see if you could really squeeze your leg in towards your body. Then extend your right leg up towards the sky. Take your hands and interlace them behind your right thigh. So not behind your knee. You'll slide your hands down until they're right behind the belly of your hamstring muscles. Then extend your right leg up. If you need to keep your knee bent, that's fine. Flex your foot to press up through your heel. You'll press your thigh into your hands. Use your hands to hug your thigh back in towards your body. This isometric push and pull. Take your shoulders back and down. Breathe. And then point and flex your foot. Your right foot up in the sky. Circle your ankle in one direction. And then the other. Hug your knee back in. This time, take your right knee in your left hand, right arm out to the side in either a T or cactus. Take an inhale here, and as you exhale, twist. Come back through center and release. Release your right leg to meet your left. Pause here, see if you can feel a difference between each side of your body. And then hug your right knee, your left knee into your chest. So again, sometimes there's a tendency here for the knee to kind of move out towards the side. Keep it tracking towards the midline of the body, right in line with the left side of your neck. And see if you could actively hug it in. Not only do we compress the meridian that runs through the top of the thigh by doing this, but it also helps to kind of dam up the flow of blood to this part of the body so that when we release, all this fresh oxygenated blood can flow into that space. And then from here, extend your left leg up towards the sky. Interlace your hands behind the left thigh. Press your thigh into your hands. Use your hands to guide your leg back in towards your body. Press up through your heel. And breathe. See if you could relax your shoulders back and down and let the weight of the body drop more into the mat. And then point and flex your foot. Circle your ankle in one direction and then the other. And then release and hug your knee back into your chest. This time, take your left knee in your right hand. Bring your left arm out to the side. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, guide your knee across your body all the way over to the right as you twist. Inhale, come back to center. Send your left leg to meet your right. Just pause here in a little mini Shavasana. And then bend your knees, place your feet on the ground. Roll to your right side, come all the way up onto all fours in a tabletop position. In tabletop, see that your knees are just underneath your hips or even slightly behind. So our tendency is to shorten our stance here, shorten side bodies, and notice what happens if you give yourself a little more space than you think that you need. That'll also make things more gentle on your wrists. Wrists can be right under the shoulders or slightly in front of the shoulders. And then from here, tune into your breath. Take your shoulder blades onto the back of the heart. As you inhale, arch your spine. Take your gaze up. And as you exhale, round your back, moving through cat-cow at your own pace with your own breath. Inhale, come back to neutral. Walk your hands a couple of inches forward and a couple of inches wider. And then we'll move through marauding bear, which is just a big hip circle, sending your hips over to the right and back towards your right heel, swing them over towards your left heel and up towards your left wrist. So just a really big hip circle. You could even imagine that you're a bear coming out of hibernation and just stretching out that long slumber to tune into your body. The next time you pass through center, you can pause and change directions. Now come back through center and find child's pose. Take your knees wide, big toes to touch, send your hips back towards your heels. Stretch your arms out, bring your forehead to the ground. Then walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through your left side body. Inhale, come back through center and then walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through your right side body. Inhale back through center. Come back up to tabletop. From here, we're gonna find a twist, taking the right arm up to the sky and just opening up the spine. See if you can level out your hips as you do this. So the tendency is for us to sway our hips and really feel like we're opening really wide, but the movement's all coming from the hip. Can you keep the hips level, navel down towards the ground, and then maybe your twist is like, ugh, not so not so big, but then we're actually getting into the upper back. Then as you exhale, we're going to thread the needle. Take the right arm underneath the left, come down onto the right shoulder, right ear towards the ground. And same thing here. Notice what happens with your hips. Do they want to shift over to the left to kind of avoid the tightness in the upper back? Can you keep the pelvis level? So just imagine that the lower half of your body is still in that tabletop. Nothing's changed. Navel points down towards the earth. And then keeping your awareness on the pelvis, see if you could keep it stable and steady as you press into your left hand and inhale, sweep your right arm back up to the sky. And release. Now we'll switch sides. So right hand comes down, inhale, sweep your left arm up. And the first time you could just like have at it, how you normally do the pose, and then back it up, be like, oh, okay, what's going on with my pelvis, with my hips? Are they really shifting over to the left side? Could you level that out? Try to keep your sacrum level. And then that'll give you a more accurate picture of what's tight in the low back or the upper back and where. And then as you exhale, go ahead, thread the needle. Taking the left arm under, and then once you're down, see if you could level out the hips again. Nice. Keeping the pelvis level, press into your right hand, inhale, sweep your left arm up. And exhale, release. Let's find our way into downward facing dog. When you come into down dog, take a look at your knees. So there are four corners of the knee, right? You could imagine that somebody drew a square on the top of our kneecap. You want all four of those corners to be facing forward. So like in one of my legs, my shin bone kind of rotates inward a little. So I always have to kind of compensate for that and rotate my kneecap more forward. So maybe there's a little more work that needs to be done with your body. Now you could pedal out through your legs, bending one knee and letting the opposite heel come down towards the ground. As you do that, can you keep your heel hidden behind your foot? Keep as you're pedaling, all four corners of the knee still face forward. Go ahead and inhale, come forward to your high plank, high push-up. Knees can come down here or not. On an exhale, lower, chaturanga. Point your toes, press the tops of the feet down into the ground. Take your shoulders up, back and down, heart lifts. Inhale, heart forward and up for cobra. And exhale, downward facing dog. Here we're gonna come down to sit, so you could just sit back on your heels or on a block here. We'll just sit for a moment and stretch out our wrists. So the first thing that we could do is turn your fingers inward, so your thumb rotates out. And your fingers pointed towards your body. Maybe you give a little wrist stretch there. Okay, you could lean forward or stay sitting on your block. Whatever your body needs. Your hyperextender, you'll try to keep a little micro bend in your elbows. But basically the goal here is just to feel that you're getting a stretch through that area of the body, right? And then you can release that and sit back. And then now you'll bring your fingertips, they're pointing inwards and then back, and bring your hands right to your ribs. So that you're stretching out the other side of the wrist.
Hard on the knees all the way down.
It's hard on my knees, I
Oh,
can't.
no, that's fine. That works. We're just focusing on the wrists.
That's
So
fine.
whatever you gotta do with the rest is okay. Just a few breaths here. And then go ahead and do some wrist circles. Little figure eights. Fingers. And then let's find downward dog again. This time on an inhale, take your right leg up to the sky. Exhale, step your foot all the way up in between your hands, coming into a high lunge here. So this is where you could have blocks. You could utilize your props. Which just give a little more space in the body, right? So what we want here is for the right knee to stack over the right ankle and for both feet to be on like train tracks, right? Not on one ski. You're gonna give yourself a little more space and stability here. Then lift your hips a little higher than you think. Press your left thigh up to the sky. Press out through your back heel. Then hug your legs in towards each other so that your right hip moves back, left hip moves a little forward. Once you have that, you could settle the pelvis down towards the earth. Press into your feet. When you feel ready, inhale, reach your arms up. And then where is the work here, right? What's the system? So we focused on the foundation, we built the ground, the pose from the ground up. Now, can we soften into it? Can we relax? Can we release the tension in the jaw and breathe? This might be when the mind starts to go, why do I do this? Why do I do yoga? This isn't relaxing. But can you find a moment of calm in the midst of the difficulty? Then take your arms out to a T and bring your left hand down to the ground, right arm up as you twist. Bend your right elbow and bring your fingertips to the front of your shoulder. Then curl your shoulder back. Yeah, open it up. And then you can extend the arm out from there. Exhale, release your right hand down. Now bring your left knee down to the mat. This is where you could definitely use some padding, double up the mat, use a blanket. You can bring your hands up onto blocks, framing your front foot. And let your pelvis sink down and forward. So you should feel a stretch through the quad here, through the front of the left hip flexor. And you could stay just like this, or you could bend your back knee, bring your foot up for a deeper stretch. If your quad starts screaming, you'll back it off. And if it's in your practice, you could always reach back and grab your foot. And from here, walk your hands back. Lift your right toes, coming into a runner's stretch. And then walk your hands forward again, come back through this knee down lunge, place your hands for downward dog. Go ahead and find down dog. You have options here where you could move through a vinyasa. You could stay in down dog, or you could come into child's pose. We'll meet in downward facing dog, and on an inhale, take your left leg to the sky. Exhale, step your foot up in between your hands. And first find your high lunge. So take a moment, see, where are your feet? Where are they placed on the mat? Are they in the spot that's going to best build this structure? You make some adjustments there. Lift your hips a little higher than you think and draw the left hip back. The right hip moves a little more forward. Press the right thigh up towards the sky. Right, your right kneecap is lifting. You're engaging and even squeezing up into your glute, into your butt. Then from here, you could let the pelvis move down towards the earth. Really hug the legs in towards each other. And when you feel stable and ready, inhale, take your arms up. And then use your foundation, anchor down into the earth. Hug in towards your midline. And then from there, can you open up, lift your heart, look up, reach up as much through your thumbs as through your pinkies, and breathe. Take your arms out to a T. Exhale, bring your right hand down, left arm up, coming into a twist. And you could do the same thing here where you bend the elbow, bring your fingertips to the front of your shoulder, the head of your arm bone, curl the shoulder open, the chest open, and then from there, expand everything out. Exhale, release, bring your hands to frame your front foot and bring your back knee down. So here, just coming into quad stretch, letting your pelvis move down and forward. And this might be enough, especially if you're tight through here, like, that's good for me. And by good, I mean intense. Or you could lift your back foot, and some people may want to reach back and grab your foot or your ankle. So the word asana, which we often think about just as a pose, right? We're gonna do an asana practice, but it actually means seat. And when we think about an asana, the essence is to notice how we sit inside of ourselves. How do we sit inside of ourselves when we're holding an uncomfortable shape? Do we tense up? Do we try to resist? Is there a need to control? Do we have an internal monologue about our dislikes? Do we disassociate? Right, so this practice reveals so much about ourselves. Go ahead and walk your hands back, straighten out your front leg, lift your left toes, and peel them up, pull them back. Left kneecap lifts in this runner's stretch. And then this time you can actually bring your left foot back and we'll do, you could either sit back on your heels. So you have a couple options, right? You could just sit back or any comfortable seat. You could stay up like this, kind of camel legs. You could do a toe stretch where you're sitting back on your heels. Gonna spread out your toes. So we're gonna do just something for the shoulders, but 2 for 1. Ooh. So
Yeah.
go ahead and bring your fists behind you and see if you can bring them to touch. And then notice what happens when we're tight in the shoulders. The heads of the arm bones really round forward, right? Like you can see it on me. This part of my body is so tight now that I've had children holding them all the time. So you'll take your shoulders up, back, and down. Engage your core. So knit your front ribs in towards your pelvic bones. You're just focusing on getting broader through the collarbones, taking the shoulder blades onto your back, and just breathing. You feel this? If we feel it. Walk your hands up a little. And then you can go ahead and release, do a couple shoulder rolls. Roll out through your head and neck. Like. And then find child's pose, but this time we're gonna stack our forearms. So knees wide, big toes together, give your toes a little rest. And stack one forearm on top of the other, it doesn't matter which one. Bring your forehead to rest on the top of your top wrist. Go ahead and switch the stack of your forearms. Notice the back of your neck and see if you could lengthen that. Maybe that means bringing your chin in towards your chest a little more. And then come into regular child's pose for a few breaths. Stretch your arms out. And one more time, walk your hands over to the right until you get a stretch through your left side body. Back through center, walk your hands over to the left until you get a stretch through the right side body. Inhale your hands back through center, walk your hands in. Come to sit off to the side and bring your legs out in front of you. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees wide, Baddha Konasana. You can move the flesh away from your sitting bones. And you could play here with the distance of your feet to your pelvis. So sometimes it changes things up to bring the feet a little closer together or to take them a little further apart. So to change the shape of the diamond. From here, inhale, lengthen up through your spine, take your shoulders back and down. Exhale, hinge from your hips until you find your edge, that point where that's as far as you can go with keeping the spine long. And then from there, you could round if you wanted in this pose, making it a little more yin, or you could keep the leg, keep the yang energy. But wherever you are, see if you could deepen your groins back. So it's almost like you're kind of pushing your seat back away from you a little more, coming more towards the fronts of the sitting bones. Let's inhale, rise on up. And then we'll keep the left leg out in front and bring your right foot back. So coming into a mermaid, or sometimes this is called deer. And then you'll bring your left hand behind you. Inhale, sweep your right arm up and lift your hips. And exhale, release. Go ahead and switch sides. So right shin comes out in front, left foot back towards your hip, right hand behind you. Inhale, sweep the left arm up. Exhale, release. And then take your legs wide. You may want to have blocks here. For Upavishta Konasana, move the flesh away from your sitting bones. Maybe you sit up on the edge of a blanket. Help. What we're looking for here is to have the pelvis upright. Again, that bowl, right? If the pelvis was a bowl of water. You don't want it tilting back this way and spilling. That's usually the tendency here. I'm going to kind of bring it upright, sit more towards the fronts of the sitting bones. Then inhale, lengthen. Four corners of the knees point straight up to the sky. Press out through your heels. So when we're stretching the tops of the legs, the thighs, quads, we need to engage the backs of the legs, the hamstrings. So kneecaps have to lift. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. So I said it backwards. When we're stretching the hamstrings like we are here, you have to engage the quads. So if you wanted to bring your forearms to blocks, you could do that. Let's see if with every inhalation, you could lengthen out of your waist, lengthen through the side bodies. At the same time, anchor into your foundation, anchor into your seat. Press the backs of your legs down into the earth. Inhale to rise, walk your hands over to frame your right foot. A little twist here, right ribs move back, left ribs rock forward. Inhale to lengthen, exhale as you fold. Down roll over your right leg. See if you could keep your left sitting bone rooted. Inhale to rise, walk your hands over to your left leg. Same thing here, little twist, navel twist towards your leg. So left ribs wrap back, right ribs move forward. Inhale, lengthen, exhale as you fold. Root down through your right sitting bone. Inhale to rise, and then one more time, we're gonna fold forward. So inhale, lengthen, exhale, bow in. Inhale to rise, bring your hands to the backs of your thighs and pull your legs back in. We're gonna set up for a restorative Shavasana. So for this, you could use 2 blankets, and you can always just do regular Shavasana if that appeals to you more. Or you could take 1 blanket and roll it up. That'll go underneath your knees. And then another blanket could be for your head. Or you make a little roll at the bottom for your neck. And then you'll come down onto your back with the blanket underneath your knees. Then the other little blanket roll underneath your neck. So just a small babbling brook. And you feel compression in your low back. You'll bend your knees, place your feet on the ground, lift your pelvis up, lengthen your tailbone, little scoop under, and then come back in. So take time to set yourself up so that you're in a Shavasana position that works best for you. I will offer Reiki. I'm a Reiki master teacher. If you don't want to receive Reiki in Shavasana, you can just raise any limb right now. Otherwise, you'll feel my hands on the top of your head. I'll take a deep breath in and let it out with a sigh. Relax the weight of your body down into the earth. Make a little space between your lower jaw and your upper jaw. And let your tongue get heavy and wide on the lower palate of your mouth. Widen the corners of your eyes. Let your eyeballs descend back into their sockets. Smooth out your forehead and soften your cheeks. If you could bring the sense of a smile to the outer corners of your eyes. See if you could bring the sense of a smile to your ears. And then the sense of a smile to the corners of your mouth. Give yourself permission to let go of any tension in your body, to release any lingering resistance, and to fully surrender into Shavasana. Draw awareness back into your body. So begin to wiggle your fingers, your toes. And you could start to make small movements. Stretch in any way that feels best for your body. As you transition out of Shavasana. When you're ready, hook your knees into your chest and gently roll to your right side. Make your way back up to find a comfortable seat. When you arrive, close your eyes. Bring your hands back together in front of your heart. Bring your awareness to the space between your palms. Make a little room there and imagine a glowing golden white light. And feel that this light here joins with the light of your own heart. Take a moment to honor yourself for this practice, for working this ancient system of yoga, for taking the time out of your busy life to give back to yourself so that you can give more freely to others. And then please call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. You can modify or change it in any way to carry with you off of your mat back out into your life. And then let's seal in our intentions and end our class with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go with a sigh. Gently bow your head to that light in your own heart. And this light within me recognizes and honors the very same light in each one of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for your practice. Enjoy the rest of your night.
It's nice and quiet.
Oh my gosh, so much better.
Yeah, yeah.
We moved this class, Lorraine, because they were doing a lot of training downstairs. It was just too
Yeah.
distracting.
Like I blocked it out, but now tonight I realized I didn't have.
Yeah,
to.
you didn't have to, and
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's nice.
Thank you so much, Debbie.
Thanks, Erin. It was
Have a
great.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Have fun at the shore.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so actually next Thursday, I won't be here. I'm gonna try to get a sub,
Oh.
but my oldest daughter's graduating preschool.
Oh.
Sweet. So I will be back the following week.
Okay. See you then.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.